Good morning, everyone. Like Brian's just said, I'm Louise Loates. I work here at Value Match as Head of Sourcing and Supplier Relationship Management. I know there's a few of you on this call that already work with us, but for those that don't, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we do. Value Match is a purpose-driven organisation that helps school trusts use procurement as a genuine lever for positive change, not just to save money, but to improve outcomes, strengthen compliance, and deliver lasting social and environmental impact. Our team works as an extension of each trust's central function, helping them make smarter, compliant procurement decisions that release resources back into education. Our focus is on making procurement strategic, ensuring every contract delivers measurable value and not just short-term savings. Through our shared services, we've delivered millions of pounds in savings, created training and apprenticeship opportunities, and achieved measurable carbon reductions, all helping schools reinvest more back into improving education and supporting future generations. One example of how we put that into practice is our mobile connectivity managed solution, which is delivered in partnership with Billmonitor. It's designed specifically for education, a straightforward, fully managed service that saves both time and money for school trusts. By pooling demand across multiple schools, we've created a smarter way to access better mobile rates, simplify management, and remove the admin burden that comes with different contract end dates, renewals, and billing cycles. Schools already using this service have seen savings ranging from around 40 to over 80% on their mobile costs, reductions that translate directly into funds being redirected to people support and other key priorities. And because it's a managed data-led solution, the savings don't stop at contract award. We provide monthly monitoring and technical support so schools stay on the most cost-effective plans, can adjust data usage in real time, and have a single point of contact for everything from SIM swaps to billing queries. When new handsets are needed, we always look at refurbished devices first. This is a simple way to reduce cost and environmental impact without compromising on quality. It's exactly the kind of solution that we're passionate about: smarter, more efficient and purpose-driven, ensuring that every pound spent supports pupils' compliance and sustainability. On that note, I'm going to hand you over to Klaus and Enesa at Billmonitor, who will share how the managed service works in practice and some of the results already being achieved across schools.
Thank you, Louise. My name is Klaus Henke. I'm Managing Director of Billmonitor. And I think before we talk about mobile phone contracts, let's give you a little bit of background in terms of Billmonitor and where we are coming from. So Billmonitor was a brainchild of three academics from Oxford and Cambridge. About 15 years ago now, they had the idea of developing a software that helps customers make better buying decisions when it comes to their mobile phone contracts. The desire to identify savings is still in our DNA, and even if we have evolved into a more service-driven solution, savings is still what we kind of focus on. In a nutshell, we offer clients a better way to choose and manage their mobile phone contracts, saving them time and money. We are still very much data-driven, and the image you can see here on the right-hand side is from our latest research piece we did about Crown Commercial Services mobile framework, which was introduced a few years ago. We did a FOI survey of about 500 public sector organizations to identify how the new mobile framework has helped primarily larger organizations. And on the back of that came the idea that it's a shame because smaller organizations, schools, MATs, charities, anybody who is in the public sector space should actually benefit as well. And that ultimately drove the development of a pooled and managed contract. But let's have a quick look at the services we offer. So Billmonitor offers two services in the mobile phone space. One is effectively a one-off contract renewal, where we help clients renew their mobile phone contract. We do the analysis, we identify the savings, we negotiate with the networks. We then set up for the client the new contract, and we manage any portings if it's required. We generally offer this service on a gain share basis, with offering our savings guarantee, i.e. no savings, no fees. And the other service we offer, which is a monthly monitoring, a cost center report, focuses on providing ongoing support for a client, effectively outsourcing the mobile phone management. The remote tech support covers anything from you have problems with your handsets, or somebody needs to travel abroad and needs a roaming bundle, to as simple stuff as we have a new joiner, so can you get a SIM card out and a handset ordered. The latter service, the monitoring and tech support, is then charged on a flat fee per month per connection basis. We've shown here a couple of clients. What all these clients have in common, they're all public sector organizations. The first one, top left, is City Capital College Group, and right next to it is HRUC, which is Harrow, Uxbridge, Richmond College. They're both further education colleges. They're relatively large, but they have a relatively small number of connections, making them more suitable for the pooled contract, while City Capital College Group is larger and has its own direct contract. You also see City and Guilds, which is an institute. It's an institute and as such also public sector organization. We have worked with them for about 6 years. And Bart's Cancer Institute is a small specialized research center. All of these groups have benefited greatly from being moved from a commercial contract to a public sector contract, and HRUC is already, we moved them to a public sector contract and then again moved them now to the pooled contract, achieving even further savings. So all these organizations have somewhere between 40 and 67% savings. So how does that look then for schools? So what we find when it comes to schools, the discussion points are often circled around kind of how it is managed in the moment. We find very often that the contract often sits with the IT team. They look after the mobile phones because it's tech. What we do find is IT is very good with technology. That's effectively their job. They're not that good with monitoring the mobile phone costs because they often see this as kind of not being their job. So the other part we find very often is that clients tell us, well, we got the contract from O2E or Vodafone and we simply have to trust them to give us the best possible deal. Clearly the networks have a different perspective. They're commercial organizations, they want to make money. For them the benefit is kind of the more revenues they make, the better. So they will sell you whatever they can get away with. We also have a fair amount of clients we find have used independent mobile phone agents, which offer a free service, free in the sense of you don't have to pay for it, but you effectively pay for it through your mobile phone bill. So what we do find is the contracts people sign up with independent mobile phone agents are often more expensive than if they had done it directly with a network. And that is fine as long as the service is really good. But we often find that the services purely focus on renewing you every 2 to 3 years. So both of these effectively get paid, and the independent mobile phone agents sometimes also tries to move you to odd providers, be it alpha, beta, gamma. There's various different providers in the market. One of the other points which has become more relevant in the last few years is cybersecurity. So what we do find is schools tend to use the handsets longer than other organizations. It's clearly often a cost factor, but if any school is still using iPhone 6 or even iPhone 5, then these devices don't meet minimum cybersecurity requirements. What we are saying, it's okay if it's for the gardener or the cleaning service, but if it's for employees or staff which do make calls to colleagues or to students, then the objective should be to meet minimum requirements. One of the things which we find is, of course, schools often have only a handful of handsets. We have clients who have kind of 7 or 8 devices. That often means that the cost is relatively small. The comment we get is that it's not the biggest bill. The most important part clearly is staffing, real estate, catering. All these ones generate significant costs, mobile phones are therefore often overlooked. One of the other things we find is that people treat it like a fixed cost. So we look at it, it's the same amount as last month, then it's fine, it's signed off. But there's clearly a renewal only every 2 years. People tend to, or clients tend to treat this as, if we can get the same costs in as before, then actually that's already quite good. The idea of achieving significant savings is often kind of secondary point because it's difficult to identify. One point we are always surprised about, but it does happen regularly, is the original contract is being set up with a direct debit. It's get paid every month. The invoice is automatically sent from the network to finance. That works. But then accessing the account or online portal is sometimes difficult. We have had regular situation where a school basically purchased another school or joined them and then struggled getting access to it. It often happens if the person who's responsible originally for it leaves the organization, his or her email address is disabled, and then the network says, yeah, but you're not authorized to get access. So we help with that. We can sort that out with the networks. It's sometimes a bit painful, but we have done that for many of our clients. So these are kind of just a list of problems which we have tried to address by coming up with a new solution. And in that respect, so what is actually pooled public sector contract? We have worked closely with Value Match to design a contract which allows smaller organizations, which are all classified as public sector organizations, to access discounted public sector pricing and help them reduce costs and the management of the contract. We find that by wrapping the public sector framework with effectively a managed solution, addresses the key issues all these schools face, and the benefits are very obvious. Lower costs, you've seen it already, in some cases 40, 60, 70%. We can offer more flexible terms and conditions by having a managed solution, which Enesa will later on give you a couple of examples on, and it's basically a better service. So how have we gone about it? So Value Match more precisely, we have a contract with O2, Vodafone EE. These are fully compliant public sector contracts, but the takeoff agreement for each of them is probably around 280 pages long. It's therefore quite a complex process if you want to have one of these contracts directly for yourself. So Value Match then also decided to manage it as a managed solution, which means that we wrapped the basic airtime mobile contract with a network, with a service agreement, which includes free account management or ongoing tech support. All this is already priced in. So when we talk about savings, it's the savings after taking account of our fees and what ultimately would need to pay. So from the structure, you can see Value Match on the left-hand side. They are looking after their specialists on the procurement side, but they also look after the billing side. And then Billmonitor is primarily responsible for everything which has to do with the handsets. So SIM card replacements, tech support, monthly questions on spending and costs. So we offer this as a kind of a pooled solution, which means that individual schools can have access to all three or each of one network. So in some cases, we have clients who have been on O2, and if a network is good in your area, then keep O2. The same applies for Vodafone EE. But you will also hear a case study where the situation was that they were exclusively on EE and the connectivity wasn't particularly great. Besides the normal mobile services, we also provide support when it comes to handsets and other equipments, all mobile related normally. We have also solutions for mobile device management tools if it's required, and if you're still on an old analog telephone system, we can also provide fixed line solutions to address that. Just one area which I mentioned before is the handset or the hardware fund. So we offer a solution which is focused primarily on refurbished devices, but if a client prefers new devices, then that can also be sourced. We normally offer two types of transactions. One is effectively where a school asks us to source them a one-off, say 10 devices, 50 devices, whatever the client would like. Or if they sign up with us with a management contract, then we can also offer a hardware fund whereby, yes, the funds is available up front or in stages, but it's paid for in fixed monthly payments. And what we often find, the savings are so high that the savings from the airtime account more than covers all the costs you have, even if you want to replace every single handset. As Louise mentioned initially, there's significant savings with refurbished devices, and the extra benefit is that you also reduce your carbon footprint by about 90%. This is an optional service. It can be put in parallel to the managed service for the mobile phones, or can be done as a one-off transaction in case you are in contract but you do need new handsets. So I think the next page, these points Louise has already touched on. I think the average savings for all value match clients at the moment stands at 46%, and it really ranges from effectively 30 to over 80% savings. So I'm not going to touch too much on these points because I wanted to give you a couple of case studies which Enesa has prepared. So with that, I hand over to Enesa, please.
Great, thank you, Klaus, and thanks everyone for joining. My name's Enesa. I'm a consultant here at Billmonitor, and essentially I'm going to show off the next few minutes. So these three clients, they're going to show how we help organisations from large colleges to national charities overcome connectivity challenges and gain visibility over their spend. So firstly, we've got Harrow, Richmond and Uxbridge College, also known as HIUC. They had staff frequently travelling abroad for school trips, so reliable roaming plans became crucial for them in order to wherever they are. The college also did have some devices in and around the schools which needed unlimited data SIMs, which we also provided for them so that these devices can be used without the worry of exceptional data charges at the end of the month. We thought that the best fit for HIUC was to put them on a pooled public sector contract on Vodafone. Vodafone actually have some of the best roaming plans on the market. I think they have the best roaming plans on the market, actually, Klaus, if you can confirm. And it's helped HIUC stay connected in and out of Europe. And the figures there speak for themselves. Next, we've got Heart Academies Trust, a smaller education trust with only 17 mobile connections, but like everyone else, they needed reliable, cost-effective connectivity in order to support staff communication across multiple sites. Now, whilst their scale is smaller, their needs were just as important as everyone else's. We put them on a pooled public sector account on O2, and it's continued to deliver excellent coverage for them and has allowed flexibility to grow as the trust expands. There's the figure, 70% savings again there. Finally, we've got Cruise Bereavement Support. Slightly different one because it's not an educational organisation, but it is a public sector one. They were solely on EE, and with staff across the UK, some were bound to experience connectivity issues, and lo and behold, they did. In addition to this, they had the majority of the handsets were way too old. They were outdated and non-compliant with Cyber Essential standards. As a resolution for Cruise, we migrated their connections across O2, EE and Vodafone to guarantee full national coverage. And we also provided them with access to a hardware fund, which allowed them to upgrade their handsets quickly and cost effectively to meet compliance and security standards. And yeah, there's the 90% savings again, which we're extremely proud of. As you can see across all clients and other organisations as well, as Klaus touched upon, the only thing that they do see is their costs at the end of the month. They have no visibility of their spending usage. They know what they're paying, but they don't know how much they can actually reduce these costs. we've helped each organisation take control of their connectivity, manage their costs effectively by providing monthly reporting, which can also be bespoke to each client. But this has really helped organisations plan for the future. Yeah, if anyone has any questions about these stories in particular, feel free to raise your hand and I'll try my best to answer them.
And I just wanted to add to what Enesa said, so thank you. We clearly provide the ongoing managed service for all of them, and instead of having to wait for kind of an hour to get an answer from O2E or Vodafone, they simply drop us an email, and we deal with the networks, we sort it out. We have direct access to the portals, so we are able to do SIM swaps instantly, and that service is quite highly valued. It frees up on their time, because normally somebody in IT would need to deal with it, and since they are not that used to kind of adding SIMs or making changes or checking for international tariffs, it takes us just a few minutes to do it, when they internally would sometimes spend an hour plus working on an issue and might not even get the right answer. So it's besides cost, it's a service which is significantly better with a new arrangement. So with that, if anybody has any questions either on these case studies but also on the Q&A, please do let me know. See.
Hi, I had a question. When you say multi-network pooled contract, do we have to choose each of the SIMs as belonging to which network, or does it pick on its own? Like say we buy 50 SIMs or something like that, whichever is the best network, it goes on to that, or is it that each of the SIMs are different?
Yeah, so there are, what you described is a slightly different product. So there are SIM cards which are called multi-network SIMs, whereby the SIM itself kind of picks whichever network is the strongest in that area. That is a different technical solution, which is not covered by the public sector contract. So the public sector contracts require you to select which network you want for a specific SIM card or specific handset. So what we normally do is we ask our clients to kind of ask their employees, what do you think is your best connectivity, either in your area or at the school? The school is normally easy, they can test it. If somebody has problems with EE, we can provide a free Vodafone SIM card or O2 SIM card to test it, but ultimately the client then, or very much the employees, normally make a decision, I need to know two Vodafone or EE SIM. It's not that the SIM card selects different networks.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from anybody else?
I can't see any other questions, whether in the Q&A chat or any individuals that have raised their hands so far.
Okay. Just before we wrap up then, we did say that if you attended today, we'd offer a free connectivity audit. It's just a really quick, simple way to benchmark your current mobile setup and identify any potential savings. If you find that useful, just drop your name in the chat and I'll get in touch with you after this session and we'll get that arranged.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. You can always drop us an email or drop Louise at Value Match an email if you have any further questions, or if you would like to discuss your current arrangements. Other than that, I thank you for joining and have a good day.